Hello and welcome to today's Up to Thrive Manage Your Mind Mindful Moment.
Welcome to Up to Thrive, your go-to podcast for women's wellness in midlife, designed to educate, support, and inspire you to live your very best life. And now your host, Dr. Corina Sims.
I recently had a conversation with a friend who I had not spoken to for a while. This friend is a very successful friend in terms of achievements and in having all the things, the amazing house with a view, holiday homes in various places, multiple businesses, the cars, the clothes, the very attractive partner, healthy, well-adjusted grown children, independent and building amazing lives for themselves. I had heard recently that this friend was planning to make a big move from where they live, sell their home with a view and relocate to somewhere bigger and better in a totally different location. And that's actually how that conversation started, because when I saw them at a function recently, I asked how the whole relocation, sale of the property was going. They shared with me that they had recently had a moment of reckoning, that they had taken the house off of the market and they had decided to stay where they were. They had realized that all they wanted and all they needed was right there where they already were. They realized that for their entire life, they had been working, striving, flogging themselves to achieve the next milestone, jump that next hurdle, make that next big deal, always trying to finally get to that place. Most of us know that place, the one where we use the fancy china, the one where we get fit, finish that project, lose the weight, and finally we'll be happy. This friend told me that they had been struggling with incontentment for some time, and they'd been doing some work on themselves with a mindset coach. And one day, after some time alone with their thoughts, reflecting, the penny just dropped. They had this epiphany. They realized that they'd been trapped in a prison in their own mind, a prison that they had created for themselves. No one else was making the goalposts, they were. And they realized that they were allowed to decide where those goalposts were and when they were done finding them. They realized that what they had been chasing all along was right there inside of them the entire time. I remember having this same epiphany many years ago. The same, always striving, trying to reach the next thing, and never really taking the time to just enjoy the achievement that I had just accomplished. And that was really because that achievement, the achieving of it, really only is a moment in time, right? That dopamine hit, it's really only going to last a minute amount of time, especially in comparison often to how much time and effort it took to get there. We can spend a lot of time in these phases in our lives where we tell ourselves we just have to get through this bit, wait till this bit's over, one day running into the next, sometimes losing long periods of time in just the doing. I would like to suggest that there's a better way. When we can instead put our focus on having the happiness in the process, instead of making it something we have to work for to earn, and then finally getting there, but then repeatedly moving the goalposts on ourselves, when we can release our attachment to the outcome and instead focus more on finding the joy in the process, the whole game changes. We are, as my friend said, released from the prison we have built for ourselves in our own minds. We really do get to make our own rules of whether we get to be happy or not. Why on earth would we hold out on ourselves? We only get this one life, right? Why wouldn't we find the happiness and the joy in each day as we work towards the things that we would like to do, see, experience, or have, making those things really just the icing on an already really good cake? That peace, that joy, that happiness is available to you always. You just have to choose it. I am right now building something I am so passionate about with my Midlife Reset coaching program. And at the same time, I'm still doing my clinical work and I'm producing this podcast each and every week and regularly coaching for another program. My strength training, nutrition, and my sleep are also priorities, as is my home, my husband, my children, my friends. It's a lot to balance. And you know what? Some days I don't get it right, but I do my best and I give myself grace for when I don't quite do as well as I would have liked to have. And I regularly check in with myself to be sure I'm looking for all the joy all along the way. I know that I'm working towards some beautiful outcomes and that they're really going to light me up when I do get there eventually. But I don't even really put much time into thinking about getting somewhere at all right now. I know I'm on my way. It's mapped out where I'm headed. But my time and my energy and my focus, that's all spent in the day-to-day doing and being as present as I can, finding the joy and the balance and the learning and the connection all along the way. Today, I challenge you to have a look at where you might be keeping yourself prisoner. Where in your life can you allow yourself some freedom, more peace, more happiness, joy, just by choosing to let go of your focus on the destination and instead place it on the journey. I hope you've enjoyed this Manage Your Mind mindful moment. And if you have, and you can think of someone else who might enjoy it, please pass it on. And don't forget to rate and review the podcast to make it more visible to those who might get something out of it too. Have a great week, everyone. And until then, I hope you opt to thrive.
The Opt to Thrive podcast is designed for information purposes only and is not engaged in the giving of medical advice. The information provided on the podcast should not be used for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease. In no way should the information provided by Opt to Thrive be considered medical advice, and at all times the advice of a medical professional should supersede recommendations from Opt to Thrive. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, you should consult your healthcare provider. The views expressed in this podcast are purely that of Dr. Sims and do not in any way reflect those of the institutions she contracts with medical services to.
Thank you for listening to Opt to Thrive. If you've enjoyed listening, please rate and share the podcast. You can visit our website at opttothrive.com and leave a comment for any subjects you would like to hear more about.